All right, welcome back to Max Out, everybody. My guest today does not really need an introduction, but I'll give him a brief one because his content's so good. I want to get right to it. But I think he's probably the biggest real estate brand in the world. He's CEO, star of Bravo's $1 Million Listing in New York. If you don't know his name, you know his face. If you're listening on audio, you'll know right away who he is. But he's got a book out that I believe in, that I really believe in the premise of the book. I didn't need to be sold, even when I saw the title. It's called Big Money Energy. We're going to talk a lot about business, life, COVID, the whole deal with a guy he's just done some remarkable things the last 10 years with his life. So Ryan Serhant, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're doing so well. I'm proud of you from a distance.
Laguna Beach sounds nice right now, man. New York is a little bit cold. A little snowy.
It's pretty beautiful here right now. I'm not. It's Zoom, so I won't show you what I'm wearing below the waist, but it's not a lot.
At least you're wearing something. You know, you look covered. Really nicely tanned. I haven't had a tan in years, I think.
Yeah, but you're so damn handsome. It's frustrating. That's why we're doing a split screen. They'll throw an extra filter on me. I'm not worried about it. They'll do something good for me. But I got to tell you, I'm reading the book, and the whole premise here, all the stuff that I teach about influence, optimal performance, it's this invisible thing, which is energy. And when you're around someone who's successful, and you call it magnetic energy, sort of more specifically, I cannot agree with you more about this. You know, when you're in the presence of it, and the absence of it makes everything so much harder in life to persuade, to attract, to accumulate. How does someone, first off, what is big money energy, and how does someone get conscious of developing it so they can transfer it to people?
Yeah, sure. If I could just backtrack for a quick second.
Sure.
For anyone that doesn't know, I mean, I was born in Texas, bounced around 8 times before 4th grade, grew up a little bit outside Boston, went to college upstate New York. I was terrible at every single sport. The only thing I liked was theater, in part because I didn't have to be myself, right, on stage. I was not a cool kid by any means. And, growing up on the East Coast school can be tough that way. And so acting and learning how to act gave me the opportunity to pretend to be somebody else. And I wasn't confident in my body. I was overweight. I had terrible acne. I wasn't that smart, but I knew that I liked to perform. And I gave myself 2 years after college to come to New York City and try to do theater. Try to make it TV, film, whatever I could do. I didn't want to go to LA because I didn't know anybody in the West Coast. I'm, basically from the East Coast. So I went there and I completely bombed, failed. I got on a soap opera for like a split second, and then they killed me off really, really, really quick. And I totally ran out of money. And there's a couple things that have always sort of driven my life. One is I'd rather regret the things I did than the things I never tried. Right? I'd rather ask out that girl and have her say no than live the rest of my life wondering, oh my gosh, she could have said yeah. Oh my God, what's the worst that can happen? Is she gonna punch me in the face? I don't think so. And if she did, that's an even better story. I asked out this chick, she punched me in the fucking face. That's crazy. What a great story. That's my 3rd book. And I used to be, and I'm not as debilitated anymore, but I used to be debilitated by this fear of wasted potential. That I got to go to New York and try to be an actor, because if I don't do it, this is my only shot. I got to do this now. And I don't want to be in the cemetery one day as that guy who, had he just done a little bit more, you'd know who he is. He would have had a legacy. And so I totally ran out of money, got into real estate at the end of 2008, not because I like real estate. No way. Not because I enjoy, being a licensed associate realtor. It was because I needed to pay my rent, and I needed to buy food, and I didn't want my parents to have to help. I didn't want anyone to feel bad for me, and I didn't want to fail and have to move home. So I knew if I moved home, I'd never come back. And if you can make it in New York City, like they say, you can make it anywhere, right? It's a tough city. Competition is intense. It's also a beautiful city. It's an intellectually curious city, and you can walk down the street every day and meet a brand new person every single day. When I got into real estate, I realized that I had something, I was lacking in something that a lot of the successful brokers and developers and bankers and attorneys and clients had. And I couldn't really figure out what it was. they could walk into a room and make perfect eye contact, have a great handshake. They owned the room, right? They oozed success, whether they were successful or not. And I wanted to be like those people. But in my mind, I'm a failed actor. I just got my real estate license. I need to pay rent. That's not me. I can't do that. Maybe in 10, 20 years, maybe, but that's probably not in the cards for me, right? I didn't think success was something that was possible for me. And I think a lot of people end up feeling that way as well. And you kind of like write off your future. Say, well, that's never going to happen to me, right? Mm-hmm. Now, listen, you've got to be realistic too. I suck at basketball. It's not like I really wanted to be in the NBA and I was like, oh man, if I just try a little bit hard. No, it's not going to work. That's not going to happen for me. But, I chose success first, career second. Mm-hmm. And I decided that, the one thing that really separates me from everybody else in this field, not just that I'm an amateur and they're professional, not just that they're older with more experience and I'm brand new, it's that they have energy. They have this successful energy. They have this magnetic energy. They have an energy that attracts money and income. They have a big money energy. Mm-hmm. And what that is a unique quality that every successful person embodies. And I think we've all been conditioned to think that the most people achieve success because they're either born rich or they're educated or they're well connected or they're beautiful, but it's just not true. And this is something I maybe I'm the only one, but this is what I used to think. I used to think that, hey, some people have it made. I don't. And that's okay. And I kind of like accepted that. Mm-hmm. But then I realized that I don't have to accept that. I can be the person I want to be right now.
Yes.
You're all on the same track running. Other people just got a little bit of a head start, and that's okay. Yeah. And so big money energy is my confidence blueprint to help people take back control and live the biggest, most fulfilling life they possibly can. Because even though you can't change all of your circumstances, that's okay. Because if you can change your energy, you can change your life.
1,000,000%. I just want to acknowledge a couple of things on that. I think you can do all the other things. And if you don't develop this magnetic energy, it's very difficult. I mean, you can have the best script in the world, the best closing in the world, the best everything, even the best product in the world. And by the way, you and I both know, top producers who aren't the best closers, who aren't the best prospectors, but they have this magnetic energy about them. A couple of things. How do I develop it? One, I assume you believe you need to be intentional about it in the first place. But you also talk in the book a little bit about, you said, I can become whoever I want. I write in my book about, you can just become a new character in the story of your life anytime you want. You can actually begin to play a character. And you say something similar about that in the book. So do we model big money energy, or does that make it inauthentic if we're like somebody else? Like, how do we do this?
Yeah, I don't think you model it. There's a big difference for me in acting, doing theater, and actually presenting myself as somebody who was successful, right? And I never, there's no lying, there's no faking it. It was just really believing in your core. And I'll give you an example. Most people know me because for the last 10 years, I've been on a show called $1 Million Listing New York on Bravo. They've either seen an episode on a plane or their friend saw it or just reruns, whatever. Yeah. I got onto that show when they were looking for the top real estate agents in New York City. At the time, they were under 30. Okay, I was 25, and they wanted the best, the biggest, the ones who were doing hundreds of millions of dollars in sales a year. They said, "Come to our open casting call at the Hudson Hotel in Times Square." And I saw that. I said, "All right, I'm doing a handful of rentals. That's definitely me." And so, awesome. So I went. I was like, "Who are these people? They're from LA. What are they gonna know?" So I went, and I don't know what came over me that day. But I just was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't have a business to speak of right now. If I get cast in a reality show about being a real estate agent, what's the worst that can happen? I suck. That is actually pretty bad. So let's not suck. But if I got onto it, it's exposure that I would never be able to pay for, right? I can't afford those types of commercials. So let's see what happens. And I went into that audition and they asked me why I was there. And I said, because I'm the greatest fucking real estate broker in the history of the world. And I distinctly remember them staring back at me and being like, okay, got it. because I think the 3,000 other agents who showed up that day, remember in New York City alone, there are 80,000 real estate agents.
My gosh. Yeah.
So I was one of them. I think a lot of people were probably mumbling and stumbling and like, well, I saw the note in this and I sold this and this. I just laid it out in one line, super simple. Next question. Let's go. I'm busy. Okay. They didn't ask me
about that. Can I say something? One thing on that I want to add in. Two things. One, the most certain person always influences the less certain person. So one of the things you did is you brought a ton of certainty, but you just used the word busy. I think one of the ways that you have magnetic energy, guys, if you need to be created, is be busy. Just busyness alone becomes magnetic, because when you have scarcity of time, scarcity is value. Yeah. And so the less you have of it to offer people, the more valuable it is when you give it to them. So I just want to inject that, and you keep rolling.
No, that takes me directly into the next point here. They asked me all these questions. Eventually I left and I was like, wow, I just bombed that. And then they called me back and said, hey, we want to keep talking to you. So months and months and months go by. Eventually they say, listen, we've narrowed it down to a big group of you. And so we're flying back to New York and we're going to follow each of you for half a day in New York City. Don't stress. We just want to see what your life is like. Show us your apartment, your office, stuff like that. It's a reality show, so don't do anything crazy. To me, I said, okay, your first impression is your last impression if you are not careful. The last thing I was going to show them was my fucking apartment and my office that was like in the corner somewhere. And appointments. What was I going to do? Take them on $1,000 a month rental appointment that I had? No way. So I said, this is an opportunity that I have. I told them I'm the best. I believe that I can be the best. I might not be the best today by numbers, but they didn't ask me what my numbers were. They didn't ask me what my listings were. They said, why are you here? I said, I'm the best real estate agent. That's what you're looking for. So why are you asking? And now they're here. So they want to see that. So I scheduled myself a day that, was as busy as one of my busiest days ever. And I would have busy days here and there, but when you're brand new in any business, you have lulls over and over and over. And I wasn't about to let fate control my destiny in any way, shape, or form. Okay. They were going to pick the day. They were going to pick the morning. No way was I going to say, well, no, that looks like a slow morning. I guess that's what they're going to see. No fucking way. Whatever day they pick, I'm going to give them what I told them I was, the greatest real estate agent ever. And so I drove them around the city like a crazy mad person. I booked myself nonstop every 15 minutes. I think they got car sick halfway through. And then, because my life is not that crazy, I was done with them like 3 hours early, and I didn't know what to do. And so I left them in an apartment. And I got back into my car and I just drove off and said, listen, I have a really, really busy day ahead of me. I don't have time to stay with you for the next couple of hours. I got to do some personal stuff. I'm sorry. I'm sure you can understand. If it doesn't work out, no problem.
Wow.
But you know how to reach me. And I left them. And I at that point, I was like, all right, 50% chance that was the stupidest thing I've ever done. But there's another 50% chance that they're going to look at that and they're going to say, he just left us. Everyone else is dying to get on the show. And this guy just left us on the side of the, please cast him now. And that's exactly what happened.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Max Out community. And tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them every week, and I select winners that get all kinds of prizes, gear, coaching calls with me. Make a comment.